The horror genre, the horror genre, the horror genre. Something is changing in this genre. You may have noticed. This used to be pretty simple to write. You would have a group of usually young individuals, have them go into an unsuspecting location, and then all of a sudden, strange things would happen. A terrifying monster antagonist would show up and kill the kids one by one until only one would survive, right? And then the monster would come back for sequel after sequel after sequel. Pretty simple plot. Very scary story. But these days, something has changed in the horror genre. Instead of us having to use our imaginations, CGI has become so real that basically everything looks fake. And that means monsters are not scary anymore. But yet, several horror movies like It, The Conjuring, Birdbox, The Witch, Midsommar, Invisible Man, and more are wildly successful in the age of audiences that cannot be scared. How do these horror properties work, and how can you write a terrifying horror story? The answer is simple. One word. Humans. If this is your first time here, welcome to Food for Plot, where we make videos about how story works in all media and how to make your stories better. Subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any of our new videos. You see, human characters instead of archetypes are the most effective tool of things like It and Stranger Things. One of 2019's most anticipated movies was It Chapter 2. And that's weird, right? Because while Pennywise the Clown is definitely a draw, he is secondary to the adult version of the Losers Club, which we became so attached to in Chapter 1. Look at a movie like Invisible Man, which is an entirely new genre of horror stalker films. This remake could have simply been the way that we've seen the whole thing play out before, but instead we have decided to go on to her perspective and have an abusive relationship turned up to an 11. These stories are the things that we connect to, and these stories are the things that are the most scary. In It Chapter 1, the writers used flaws and human experiences of a coming-of-age story to make us really care about these characters.
Suck, Powers!
Shut up, Bill.
You say something? Billy?
And we want to see them overcome their flaw and see their story arc. Pennywise, the horrifying clown, is just a plot device for them to do that. The same thing happens in Invisible Man. We don't really care so much that he's invisible, we more care about the fact that this woman is being stalked by this terribly abusive person that was a monster even before he turned invisible. This is in stark contrast to the slasher flicks of the past, where we would have a very scary looking monster who just by appearances would elicit horror into our nightmares. But these days, we have found something more scary than Pinhead or Freddy Krueger or any of the other monster classics. Humans. Humans don't always have to be your protagonists. Humans can also be the monster. What? Yes, you heard me. Humans have now become scarier than any CGI creature that we can dream up. A great example is a film like The Witch or Midsommar. Ironically, both A24 films. Seriously, pay attention. Side note, scratch the record, all the whole thing. Pay attention to A24. A24 may be like my favorite studio right now, but they are becoming the Disney of like weirder indie films. They have gotten tons of Oscar noms and their films are just ridiculously good and inventive, and they really need to get the support. I really hope they don't go out of business. They are amazing. Okay, now back to the video. In The Witch and Midsommar, you have some amazingly profound themes, but the horror that comes out of these films isn't from any supernatural force. It's people.
Just to quiet her.
Speak back and we say him! Sign his book!
Silence!
Don't let her near me! She'll place a curse on me!
They conspire against me.
How is it in a witch?
Because people are the scariest thing known to man. Especially because we can understand their motivations and also their lapse in judgment. While watching these, we are all thinking of the monster inside of us. That is how you create real horror. This doesn't mean you cannot make a monster that will strike fear into the nightmares of your viewers. Even these days, It just means that when writing your nightmare fuel, try to focus on the real reason that monster scares you. Not everyone else, you. Because the real monster isn't on screen or on the page, but sitting there in your mind. But that's just food for plot. If you learned something in this video, or you think others might learn something in this video, go on and share it, or join the conversation down below, even if you disagree. Click that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another video. Every like goes to feeding the penguin. So until next time, keep writing.